Welcome, and thank you for joining us. Today we're talking about a challenge that's become impossible to ignore. Vendor risk management is breaking under its own weight, and this webinar will examine the reasons why and what you can do about it. That's why we titled this session Drowning in Vendor Risk, because for many organizations, that's exactly what it feels like. What we'll cover today is how to break out of that cycle, eliminating assessment backlogs and regaining control, without simply adding more headcount. I'm Hannah Martelli, Head of Product Marketing at Vendict, and with me today is Udi Cohen, our co-founder and CEO. Udi, why don't you start by sharing how TPRM was built for a different era?
With much pleasure. If you think about third-party risk management, 10 years ago, organization probably had like 10% of the third parties they are working with today. The data that was shared with the third party was much more limited and less sensitive. Less regulations. There were concerns about security, privacy maybe a little bit, but nothing about AI or their concerns that organizations have today. So if you think about what happens today, in terms of investments or capacity, resources, you don't have more than you had 10 years ago. So what happens is that companies today mainly work on the top 5%, 10%, sometimes we hear 2% of the third parties. And one of the problems is that those 10% or 2% are not necessarily the most relevant 2% or those that are the most risky. Maybe the most risky vendor is not a direct vendor. Maybe it's a sub-processor of a lot of your vendors. And today there is just not enough capacity to really have visibility on all of the third-party network, and definitely not with all the different requirements, all the different regulations, audit domains. So today there is a lot of frustration when you speak with the third-party risk management or GRC experts, because those people are typically perfectionists. They really like to do things according to the process and on the highest quality, but they just can't. Like a lot of them work nights and weekends, but still it's not enough. You just can't do it good enough in the standard you would like to do with today processes and capabilities. And this is not just a theoretical concern, okay? So companies understand that this is a big deal. They understand that a lot of the risk, whether it's cybersecurity risk, compliance, privacy, reputation, depends on the network of the third parties, because you can have the best security team, make sure that you do everything by the highest standard, but if one of your third parties lose your sensitive or the private information of your customers, it's your responsibility. There is no way around it, and it happens all the time. Large organization already saw it and saw how it affects them, whether it's reputational, operational, security related. The damage is clear. So if you think about today how companies operates with the third-party risk management, there are typically two main versions. One version is having an internal team that use a platform, and the platform add value in making sure that there is the workflow is clear, that things are monitored, managed. You can do external scanning on some of the third parties with most platforms. So there is a tool that is helpful and there is a team, and you get to some balance point. Like it's not perfect because you cannot do everything you would like to do, but you get to some balance point. Alternatively, you can work with an external company like one of the big four or other managed service that will do it for you. Again, you will not analyze all of your third parties. You will have the long tail problem. You will have risk exposure, but you are in some balance point. But when there is an increase in the number of third parties or a new requirement like DORA, NIS2, or AI-related regulations, suddenly you have a problem that you need to do more work. And those solutions are both linear. You can either pay more to the consultant, like if you need 50% more vendors, then you need to pay 50% more. If you work internally, then you will need to increase the team in 50%. And most organizations cannot do it. The GRC budgets are just not growing this way. And therefore, the result is that the amount of visibility, the coverage gaps keep increasing. If this is how companies get to analyzing 10% of their third parties to 2% and having no visibility at all on the other 98%. Like you might approve a vendor 10 years ago when AI was not a concern, privacy was just beginning, but you never look on this vendor again that you approved 10 years ago, and this is risk. And you have no visibility. You don't even know how much risk it is. Also, there is also a problem of backlog. In some organizations, companies just giving up on working with new vendors because they know it's just too much work for them, too much time to wait, and they just give up on innovation and growth. So today, you don't have a real solution to this problem. So how can organizations execute at scale, improve the throughput so that they can do a lot more with the same amount of resources and the same budget? The easy response to each question today is by using agents. And this is indeed the part of the resolution. With agents, you can implement your workflow at much higher scale with the same resources. You can define agents to implement the process again and again for each new vendor. Once the process is defined well enough with the right guardrails and playbook, you can really see today that agents are implementing the process in high accuracy, more consistent, and better way. However, as everyone knows, agents still need close supervision. There are a lot of exceptions. The results need to be reviewed. There are escalations. There are false positives. So just letting the agent run is not so simple. First of all, you need to be expert with agents to know how to operate them, to have agents that define the agents that will define other agents. You need agents to do the operation and then agents to supervise them. Implemented a pipeline that is based on agents is not as simple as it sounds. You still need an expertise in AI research and in R&D, but you also need the human in the loop. At the end, you want a GRC expert to operate those agents to make sure that the process is aligned, that the results are aligned, that it makes sense. And what we see today is a combination of GRC experts that know how to implement the process, how to operate it, but getting help from agents. And this is the best solution that we see today to operate at scale but based on the workflow that is most adapted to you. It's not compliance in a box. every organization is different and every relationship with each third party is different. And the workflow need to be adjusted and need to meet your requirements based on the regulations, the risk, and the industry you are part of. So at Vendict, we are agentic first company. It means that we have a strong AI research team, and also that everyone in the R&D and also in other departments like the GRC team and the product team really understand how agents work and how to make the best of them. And with that, we developed a solution that do things that today other solutions cannot do. First of all, you get full visibility over the entire network of third parties. It can be 20,000 third parties, 50,000 third parties. There's a sub-processor. With agents, you can really get continuous visibility over this entire network of third parties. And with a GRC expert managing that and reviewing that, you can make sure that you will not get false positives and noise that will make it unusable. This is one of the concepts of Vendict. We want to see the entire network and to make sure that the tiering and the decision of which third parties require additional visibility and additional inspection is continuously done based on latest news. Like if, for example, there is an M&A, you want to know about it. If the company is the third party have financial issues, you want to know about it because everything affects the risk. And the decision that was taken 7 years ago about the risk tiering is no longer relevant. When we decide to take closer view on third parties, it's a combination of external analysis, continuous scanning, but also inside-out analysis. Vendict analyze the documents and the processes of the third parties because there are some things that you cannot see in external scanning. For example, one of the most known issues in the past year was about a vendor releasing a patch that broke down the software and the service. So this is not a thing that you can find in advance by external scanning. You need to understand the processes and the policies of the third party and to make sure that it's aligned with your business continuity standards. So the concept of Vendict is that we understand along with you how the process should look like. And of course, there are a lot of tiers, a lot of types of third parties, and each one of them need a little different workflow. So all of that is part of the workflow definition based on tiering and based on different requirements of different types of third party. And then we execute it with agents and with GRC experts supervision. So just to summarize the benefit, you get full visibility on the entire network of third parties. You make sure that you are aligned with every regulation and that you do not compromise on risk. You improve the speed. It's no longer a business unit that want to have a new tool don't need to wait for 2 months until it's approved. It is done in days. And at the end, you also save money because Vendict just costs 10% of typical managed solution. And it's the best way to scale the amount of third parties that you want to analyze and to scale to additional domains without linearly increasing the cost. To summarize is that third-party risk management experts really have hard time on executing what they want to execute on the level and the standard they want to have. So they just work harder and harder, doing more and more hours, but it's still not enough. You cannot solve it just by working harder or hiring more staff because it's just not scalable. The amount of work that required per third party doesn't make sense with the number of third parties that companies have today. The solution have to be another way to think about this problem and another way to implement it. Luckily, with the help of agents, today it's finally possible. But you cannot just throw it on agents. First of all, you need to know how to build those agents. You want to make sure that they are consistent, that they are tested, that you are not the only one that use those agents. It's not just you. You know that it is running for other organizations as well, and there is continuous learning on how to implement the best agentic solution, and still have GRC experts making sure that you get the best result, the consistent result, so that you can manage risk without giving up on innovation and working with more third parties. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Udi. I wanted to wrap up by letting our viewers know that they can get full visibility into their vendor risk for free with a 14-day free trial of Vendict. Vendict gives you a complete, real-time view of your vendor risk posture in minutes. You'll be able to see every vendor, every dependency, and every risk exposure across your third-party ecosystem without the operational burden. To sign up for the free trial and get a complete view of your third-party ecosystem, just scan the QR code on the screen. We look forward to helping you. Thank you, Udi, for presenting this webinar, and I'd like to thank our viewers who took the time to watch. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can always reach out to info@vendict.com. Wishing you all a great day. Take care, everyone.